I ended up getting this figure from Dan's Dinosaur. I actually got this Mamenchisaurus for $5 less than the listed retail price. That's because Dan usually runs a discount special when a new figure is announced. So as soon as you see a new figure announced, it's always good to check out Dan's. You usually can grab a little quick discount when that first happens. And as always, if you order anything from Dan's Dinosaur, just tell him in the notes section of your order that Dino Scream sent you. It helps out the channel a great deal, and it's very much appreciated. Hey everyone, welcome back to another PNSO review. Today we're taking a look at Irma, the Mamenchisaurus. Sauropod figures have been far and few between the last few years from dinosaur toy companies, so I was excited and also a little disappointed when PNSO announced their new Mamenchisaurus because they already have a Mamenchisaurus in their line. This one is an updated, more accurate version, but I was kind of hoping for a new species. And I'm glad I held off on this review for a few days because initially when I first got this figure in, I really wasn't that impressed with it. But after sitting on it for a few days, the figure kind of grew on me and I like it a lot better than when I first got it. And surprisingly for me, since I'm a big Sauropod fan, I actually don't own the original PNSO Mamenchisaurus for whatever reason. When PNSO just released figure after figure after figure, I never got around to ordering their Mamenchisaurus, and it kind of just slipped through the cracks. So I was also happy that they released an updated version, so now I have the most accurate one for my collection. Now this figure is kind of a unique release for PNSO. We'll get into that in a few minutes. As you can see, it comes in the standard Dinosaur Museum box, which is the high quality line than their prehistoric animal models. This figure comes with a lot of stuff, but let's just go over the package really quick and then we'll get into all the goodies this figure comes with. So obviously you can see it comes in the Dinosaur Museum box. You got a picture of Irma on the front, which is actually to scale to the figure. This picture is exactly the same size as the figure in the box, and it's a pretty long box. So I can't even really get it fully in the frame. And turn it over, you got the PNSO Dinosaur Museum logo on the side. On the back of the box is PNSO New Aesthetic Education, which I guess is something new that they're doing with this line. And then let's turn the box back around because that's pretty much it for the packaging. And just like all figures in the the Dinosaur Museum line, you get a nice pamphlet with a lot of information about Mamenchisaurus. And this booklet is actually a lot bigger than most of the other ones. That is because this whole package is meant to be an exhibition for the classroom. There is a ton of stuff in this box. Let me see if I can find the page that shows you how you're supposed to set all this stuff up. Like, this is a quick list of everything that comes in the box. It is a lot of stuff, and you're supposed to set it up like this so you have a nice educational expedition for your classroom, which is a really, really neat concept. The only downside is if you're not going to utilize this stuff, obviously this stuff dries up the price of the figure. I'm sure if it didn't come with this stuff, it probably would have cost maybe about $10 less. So let's go over all the fun stuff that you get inside this package. You get this giant envelope that's pretty much the size of the packaging. You'll have a little Mamenchisaurus sticker holding the envelope shut, which obviously I ripped. And then inside, there's just an absolute ton of stuff that comes in here. Posters, information cards, lesson plans, just an absolute ton of stuff. And I think it's a really, really cool concept that PNSO did this. I think, if a classroom set this up, you will have a lot of fun doing this. They actually even have videos on their Facebook page to tie into this lesson plan. The whole booklet gives you all the information you need to do to set up a lesson plan for this Mamenchisaurus, which I think is really cool. It just focuses on one species of dinosaur. I think that's, pretty cool of them. It's just a lot of stuff, and I hope one day I have the room to frame all this up and set up on the wall without my wife murdering me in my sleep, because I think that'll make a really, really cool looking display. So enough about the packaging. Let's get Irma up on the turntable and take a closer look. Yeah, remember that part where I said I was going to put this up on the turntable? Yeah, that's not going to work out for this figure. It's just too long, and it's just so long and slender. It's really messing with my camera. It just keeps coming in and out of focus, and it's going to look terrible if I put that clip up. So we're going to take a quick look at it this way. I really do like how this figure turned out. I just love the long, graceful necks of Mamenchisaurus. This makes this sauropod species look so elegant looking, and this is a nice update to their older version. Like I said, I don't own the older one, but I've seen plenty of reviews on it, and I'm happy to have this figure. Like I said, when I first got it, I wasn't super impressed with it. I thought the details were kind of bland on it, but after sitting on it for a few days, I really, really like how this thing turned out. The paint scheme looks kind of simple and bland, but it's actually a really nice blending of colors. It's one of the better paint jobs PNSO has done lately. It's better than their brown and dark stripes, which they seem to keep repeating over and over again on the theropods. So this is a nice change of pace for them. And the cool part about this figure is, I think there's 6 valid species of Mamenchisaurus. This figure is actually based on Mamenchisaurus hochihuanensis, and you can tell that by the little club at the end of the tail. It's the only species of Mamenchisaurus that is known to have a tail club. It's like a few fused tail vertebrae at the end. It might have been used for defense or a sensory organ, or maybe both. And just really like how this thing turned out. I do wish it was a little bit bigger, but we'll get to that in a few minutes when we start talking about scale. But I think it's just a really nice looking figure. And if you're looking, to add some sauropod spice to your collection, you really can't go wrong with this figure. I just really, really love how it turned out. All right, let's just do a couple quick measurements. This figure is a whopping 19 inches long from the tip of the snout to the tip of the club tail, and just about 5.5 inches tall to the top of the head. So Mamenchisaurus hochihuanensis was estimated between 69 and 72 feet long. So I'll put this figure in that 145 scale range. All right, let's zoom in and take a look at some of the finer details on this figure, starting with that tiny head. The head on this figure is the biggest problem I have with it. PNSO has gone really hard in the paint the last couple of years, sculpting their figures without lips. It doesn't bother me on theropods, but man, does it bug the crap out of me on sauropods. It just doesn't look right, and the head on this Mamenchisaurus just looks really, really goofy with those teeth hanging out right here. The eye is nicely done. It's just done with a black pupil. There's a little bit of white around it and a little bit of pink shading. The details on the head are really, really soft and bland. It's probably because the head is really, really tiny. Like my, index figure is twice the size of the head, so it just looks really, really plain. Right till you get about here, then you start getting some nice, finely sculpted folds and wrinkles on the neck. But the front part of the head is just really smooth and bland looking. And then turn the figure over. You do get some really nice sculpted folds and wrinkles along the neck, some nice muscle definition. You have a nice transition from that dark gray to this lighter brown right here, and I think that looks really nice. Like I said, the paint job at first looks really bland, but on closer inspection, it's really nice. There's a ton of fine, very fine texturing on this figure, and under the right light, it looks really, really nice. You can even see some extremely fine scale detail along the neck and all over the body of this figure. There is actually a skin impression of Mamenchisaurus. I think it's from, let me look at my notes that I keep to the side. Mamenchisaurus, young guy, there was a very small patch preserved, and they have very, very small scale speckled throughout the body. Then when you get down to the base of the neck, you get some really nice thick neck muscles sculpted in there. And then right at the base of the neck, you get some osteoderms. Now, there is no evidence of armored-like osteoderms on Mamenchisaurus. This is just purely speculation, but you can see rows of them throughout the base of the neck and just above the hips and along the sides of the body. You got more of that nice natural-looking paint coat on there. And if you, like I said, if you just zoom in, there's some beautiful, beautiful fine texture and scale detail in there, which is really impressive. A lot of companies that make sauropod figures, because the figures are so big, they just sculpt them with, elephant-like wrinkles, and that just really annoys me. So it's nice to see, some companies actually giving sauropod figures scales like they should have had. And then going down to the front legs. Front legs are beautifully sculpted. A lot of nice, beautiful muscle detail, folds and wrinkles. The toe claws are not painted in, which is nice. They're encased in skin. Thumb claws are painted, which is accurate. And then going down to the body, you can see some more of those very fine scales and osteoderm, some nice, beautiful, natural-looking folds and wrinkles around the hind legs. You can see the skin stretching right here as the animal's back leg is pulling back. Really, really nice touch. Some more nice muscle definition along the thighs. The knee is nicely sculpted. Same thing with the hind feet. Toe claws have the right amount of claws, and they are painted in that yellowish paint. And then turn the figure over. You can see, the copyright stamp from PNSO, some nice muscle definition underneath the front legs, a nice smooth belly, a little bit of pink along the sides, and a lot of companies are adding pink along the side of their figures lately. I've noticed that. And then on the other side, you can see more of those osteoderms. Let's get the figure right side up. You can see just a little hint of ribs right there, but it is not really a shrink wrap figure. And here it is from the top, a nice wide chest. You can see the hips right here, and then going down to the base of the tail, some more nice muscle definition at the base of the tail, more of those really, really fine scales. And then going all the way down to the tip of the tail, we have the, what's it called? The tail club of Mamenchisaurus hochiwanensis. Now, the only issue I have with this tail club, it's very tiny. The plastic at the base of the tail is ridiculously thin. Let me zoom my camera out because it does not want to focus into it. Was that close? It's super thin. And if you just play around with this too much, you're going to stress this out, and this is going to fall off. So definitely be really, really careful with the tail club. But yeah, I really, really do like this figure a lot. I think it turned out great. Like I said, my feelings towards it changed over the last few days, and I think it's an excellent, excellent sauropod figure from PNSO. Moving on to comparisons, first up here is PNSO's Mamenchisaurus. Now, over the last few months, PNSO has released two sauropod figures. This updated Mamenchisaurus, and they released a repaint of this Mamenchisaurus. So I really hope in the near future that they actually do different species. We seriously need more sauropods for our collections, and I love to see them tackle some of the smaller species like Saltosaurus and Shunnosaurus. And next up here is the Safari Limited Diplodocus. Let's get the Mamenchisaurus in the front, and I think these two figures scale pretty well with each other. And let's do one more Safari sauropod. Here is their Apatosaurus, and I think these three actually look nice in scale with each other. It's not a perfect scale, but it gives you a good look of what the size difference is between these three species. And here it is with the GR Toys Dicraeosaurus, and obviously this Dicraeosaurus is way too big to scale next to a Mamenchisaurus. Would love to see PNSO's take on this species. And next up, here it is with Collecte's Mamenchisaurus, which came out this year also. And, I gushed over the Collecte Mamenchi. I just think it's a great, great figure by them. So if I had to pick between these two figures, I only could have one. In all honesty, I would pick the Collecte off the PNSO. Just something about the Collecte one really appeals to me. I love the textured scales on it, and I just love how its neck is raised and it just towers over most of the figures in my collection. Just really gives it some shelf presence, and I feel like this one, because of that bland color scheme, which I do like, it kind of gets lost in the display, but this one really, really stands out, and I just like it a lot better. And the cool part is they're both based off the same species because they both have the tail club on it, but I think you're getting more bang for your buck with the Collecte one. The Collecte one cost around $30, and this one cost around $60, so you're definitely getting more bang for your dollar, and you're getting a slightly larger figure with the Collecte. So the Collecte is my pick for a Mamenchisaurus figure. And can't do a PNSO comparison without at least comparing it next to Wilson. And lastly, here's a nice group shot of the upper Shaxamu Formation dinosaurs. These are species that lived alongside Mamenchisaurus. We have the Vitae Sinraptor. Yeah, I know it's not the exact species of Sinraptor that lived next to Mamenchisaurus, but our Sinraptor figure selection is kind of limited. We have the PNSO Chungkingosaurus, PNSO Yangchuanosaurus, Collecte Gigantspinosaurus, and the PNSO Tojangasaurus. Now, all these figures don't scale with each other, but it is nice to display all these figures together as a formation. I like to do that from time to time. So it's pretty cool that we have this many figures from that formation. Maybe we can actually get some figures from the lower Saxonal formation in the future. And if you happen to have the PNSO Mini Mamenchisaurus, it works great as a juvenile to pair alongside this figure. I think they look really, really nice next to each other. I'd love to see PNSO actually release more juvenile dinosaur figures so we can pair them with the adult. I think they make excellent displays like that. So final thoughts on this figure. I really like it. The first day I got it, I wasn't super impressed with it. But after looking it over, it's a beautiful looking figure. There's so much fine detail on there. It looks kind of bland from a distance, but once you pull this thing up close, there's a lot to look at on this figure. I just love all the very tiny scales that they get it. All those beautiful folds and wrinkles. The paint scheme looks kind of bland and boring, but it's so well done and blended all over the figure. It looks very, very natural. It's definitely one of the better paint schemes PNSO has done lately. And, after the last couple releases, with Andrea and the Nanotyrannus, I feel like PNSO took a little step back with those figures, but I really feel like they stepped it up with this Mamenchisaurus. My only minor critiques on it, I wish it was a little bit bigger. A lot of us that collect Sauropod figures always wish they were a little bit bigger. It's just something we have to get used to. I feel like the head is really plain looking, and I can't stand the lipless look on Sauropods. That just really bugs the crap out of me. And just the tail club at on the tail, it's super, super, super thin plastic at the end. So be very careful with that area of the figure. I can see that snapping if you stress it just a little bit. But other than that, it's a great Sauropod figure to add to your collection. And like I said at the beginning of the review, I got this figure from Dan's Dinosaur. Always check out Dan's when any new figures are announced. He usually has a little bit of a discount going on. I ended up getting this for $55 right when it was first announced. So it saved me a few bucks. You know, I collect a lot of figures. So it's always nice to save some money in between. And that link to Dan's Dinosaur is down below in the description. And remember, if you ordered it from Dan's, just tell him Dino Scream sent you. It helps out the channel a great deal, and it's very much appreciated. So that will do it for the review. I'm waiting on the PNSO Allura Titan to come in. And after that, I really don't have much new stuff coming in. I know Wave 3 of the Beast of Mesozoic Ceratopsians should be shipping in a month or so, and we're less than a week away from the Tyrannosaur Kickstarter, so I can't wait to absolutely nuke my credit card when that Kickstarter starts. And I'm sure like new Jurassic World stuff should be popping up relatively soon. But in the meantime, I'll just go back and review some older figures that I haven't done on the channel. So stay tuned for those reviews. And as always, if you're enjoying the content on this channel, show your support by hitting that subscription button just below the video. Each subscription helps out the channel tremendously and it's greatly appreciated. And I'll see you guys for the next one.